Hey you guys, it's Tassie, and for my ghostly update vlog this week, I am late again. So it's like 10 o'clock right now, Central Time, and at my boyfriend's house because I never live at home anymore. So I am just trying to get this video in for you guys, and I'm gonna stay live for a little bit. Hi Rose, thanks for joining in. This was really last minute. I do apologize. I didn't let anybody know I was going live. But it's like really late, and I decided I'm just gonna go live. That way I can just answer some questions and talk to you guys for a little bit before I go to bed. Hi, everybody. Ooh, Sacramento. It was like really hot today. It was like my car said 90 degrees, but I think the weather in Minnesota was just like 83 or 86. Hi, you guys. I'm just going live for a little while. Just wanted to chit chat with you guys because I am late again and I couldn't post a video this week. Thank you. Thank you, Ty. And I wanted to actually answer a question. So I was asked about like when I talk to dragons and stuff like that. The person wanted to know, are the dragons kind of like in the dragon form or are they like in a human kind of form? So when I'm in the spirit world, they tend to be in their human form. Whereas if I'm like here on earth and our plane of existence, dragons tend to stay in their dragon form. And if any of you guys read my blog that I had written a while back on tassieing.com, I had mentioned that when dragons are born and they're young, they actually stay in their dragon form because if they are in their human form, they are actually weaker. So typically, only if I'm in like the spirit world are they going to be in their human form because they know me, they trust me. Whereas me in my human form here, dragons are more suspicious of me, so they always stay in their dragon form because they're stronger. Thank you, you guys. Oh, Oklahoma. So I'm just finally going through the video, through the comments. Oh, you're moving to Minnesota, Golly? That's awesome. I hope you'll like it here. Our food scene is getting much better. And sorry for the shakiness, you guys. Yeah, and Johanna, so my family, they live in Fresno. I have family out in Fresno, and they love going to the New Year. They go every year and they always take tons of photos, and I hear it's actually pretty cool. So maybe one of these days I will make it out to the Fresno New Year. I mean, I don't even go to the Minnesota ones. Yeah, thank you for everybody who just joined. This is like really last minute video because do dragons like spicy food? No. That's definitely a preference thing. When I went up to Fresno to visit my family, my older sister, she likes to go out a lot. So she knows, like, she kept wanting me to go out. And I was like, because, like in Minnesota, we have like Hmong popular joints. And I think in Fresno, they have something like that. Like it was Asian night or something. But I really didn't want to go. Oh, I am so glad for you, Sia, that you got closure. Hi, you guys. Do you guys have questions for me? Because I had to do such a last minute video, I didn't get to write anything down. I answered something briefly about dragons. That's really about it. Well, for stories, so this is kind of interesting. So this just happened recently. Over the weekend, it was we have Memorial the holiday here. And my boyfriend had a lot of his friends over, and it was really, really weird. I'm actually at my boyfriend's house. That's why everything looks really weird. But we were all hanging out at my boyfriend's house. We were drinking and grilling, and I was sitting outside by my garden, and we have like a table, and the grill is going, and his friends were in front of me. But then from the side, I kept seeing somebody pass by. There's like a stairway by the garage that goes up to where the grilling area is. And I kept seeing something go past. It was like all black and it kept passing by. And I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, whatever, how I usually am. And then all of a sudden, you can see the back door as you're exiting out from where I was. And then all of a sudden, I saw a black shadow leave the door. And then all of a sudden, my boyfriend opened the door immediately. So that was like one a thing that happened that night. And then later on, my boyfriend's friends were in the bathroom, and in the bathroom, like I have like a lot of like my cosmetic stuff up there, like just face wash and stuff like that. And my boyfriend's friend was in there, he was washing his hands, and I heard something go flying across the bathroom, and he was like freaking out. His friend like ran out of the bathroom, and he was like, "You guys have a poltergeist," because white people call it a poltergeist. He was like, "You guys have a poltergeist in here? Like, it just knocked something off the shelf." And then, so I was like, "Okay, whatever." I was like, "It's probably because the ghost doesn't like you." Like, that was the first thing that came to my head, right? And then later on, I fall asleep. And my boyfriend, he's hanging out with his friends until his friends leave. And then when his friends finally leave, my boyfriend comes into the bedroom and he's cracking open a window for me. And he saw me 3 times. He saw me like get up and look at him, and then I would like lay back down, and then every time he would keep like turning and like looking at me because he's trying to crack the window open and the bed's like right behind him. And so like he saw it 3 times, he said, though. And then he saw this like woman who was like ghostly white, got the Asian black hair, of course, but he said that she had like a gold earring. And I was like, "What?" like, and he was like, because my boyfriend always makes fun that I always bring like demons and ghosts and stuff like that because he always has nightmares. So he was like, "You got ghosts with you and stuff." So that was really weird, but that's something that recently happened, and I didn't have any bad nightmares or anything that night, so I was just kinda like, "Whatever." Alright, trying to read some of these comments here. Uh, Aaron! So, is it true that when dragons drown people, they take them for marriage, or is it for slavery? Most of the times, it is for marriage. Also, most of the times, you're not the only wife or husband, because dragons, they actually have multiple wives or husbands. Depending on what level they are, the higher the level, they're not allowed to do that. But the lower the level, you can. So they're not really seen as slaves, you guys. But you're married, but you'll have other people in front of you if you're not the first wife or husband. And it is true, unfortunately. If you're a human, you are treated differently than if you were a dragon husband or wife. It's like a respect thing. Did I have to destroy my shaman shrine? So, um, for my shrine, so basically, when a shaman is no longer going to be practicing and they put their shrine down, typically what they have to do, they have to go into the spirit world, take care of everything that they have to do to make sure that the shaman is going to be okay after they take the shrine down. So it's basically what we would call like, put your cloning away, so como chalo paisa, and then you do whatever you need to put them away. And then afterwards, you have to put everything down. You take everything down from your shrine, and you actually have to set it outside. And the shrine is supposed to decay on its own. As humans here, we're not allowed to like take a hammer to it or take a saw to it. It has to naturally decay. And like if you're moving and you don't have time to wait for it to decay, I would always recommend waiting at least 3 days before you take it apart, and then you would just toss it. Do not burn your shrine, okay? If you live on a farm or something and you want to do a bonfire, do not burn your shrine. That's definitely not okay. Man, there's so many of you guys from California. Fresno, this is Fresno. You're not missing out. Honestly, love PP. Oh, love Pam X. So I don't think I'm a really good like scary storyteller. Growing up, my dad, he loved to tell us like ghost stories, like Dunning. And my dad was always good at it, but I didn't get that. I was like, but I think because I'm so realistic and sarcastic at the same time, it's hard for me to be a good storyteller. The scariest thing that happened to me, I've answered this in another video before. It was definitely when the demon child came out of my dream and she followed me at work because I killed her parents. I no longer read people anymore. Well, people not in my family. Typically, if they're like my immediate siblings and stuff like that, I'll do like small readings for them. Um, if somebody commits suicide, so teach me how to blend your makeup. Thank you. It's honestly do it until your arm gets tired. All right, so if committing suicide, I actually have a lot of people ask me about suicide. So for suicide, it is a punishment. And it's not like you burn in inferno for forever. It's nothing like that. It's not like hell is for forever, kind of like for Christianity, how they're taught, because we believe in reincarnation. So you do go through punishment, and it can be like 9 lifetimes or something like that before you ever get to be you. And then you have to be reborn as like animals before you're even given the opportunity to be born as a human again, because even though, yes, the person may have had reasons for the suicide and everything, the heavens don't see it that way. So the heavens aren't going to be as forgiving. And that's what ends up happening. And that's why you go through all this punishment, because they gave you this life, they gave you this mission, and you just threw it all away. That's exactly how they see it. And I think that's a part of why I'm so realistic too, because they see it really realistic, even if it seems like it's unfair to like those here, like us. Like if you're not aware of all these rules and these tests that are put on you, you're not going to know that these were just tests put on you and that you're giving up. So it seems like it's unfair, but you actually knew. And excuse me, that's actually a hard thing, because technically you knew before you were born the rules, but when you were reborn as a human, that's part of the big test. You don't have the memory, you don't remember it. So you there's that. That's why you go into so much punishment. For my career, I'm actually do instructional design, technical trainer, and in management. Eat life with kimchi. You better do the pho challenge, okay? 2 bowls of pho. I know you could do it. I watch you eat a lot. Oh, thank you, you guys. My makeup is actually several hours old. It could be the lighting. um, so Sia is asking, is if you dream of a mythical creature killing 2 animals, does it mean anything? Or is my mind just running on its own? A lot of times for people's dreams, it depends. A lot of times it could be a message for you. They could be killing something bad around you. Sometimes it could be something bad that's going to happen, kind of like an omen. So it really depends on the individual in their dream. And that is why, because of so many depends and what ifs, it's really easier to just have a shaman go and look, because it's a lot easier. Thank you, Chufu. The rain thing. Okay, so like Duwa is asking about rain during funerals and stuff like that. Honestly, a lot of people have the feeling that it's kind of like the deceased is crying with you and stuff like that. And I don't believe in that. Like my guides are saying that's not true. Excuse me. I've been to funerals where there was no rain and it's been really sunny. So I actually don't believe in the whole weather thing. Cremation. I'm getting cremated. So the whole cremation and the whole traditional Hmong funerals. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about like Hmong funerals. So a lot of it I can't tell you guys, because that's something I can only reserve for my students and what actually happens, the inner workings of it. Now, for cremations and funerals though, so I've mentioned this in other videos. People believe in like the Hmong traditional funerals that you need to have 3 days and 3 nights of all this stuff, right? You need to kill like 20 cows. So honestly, nowadays, that's really more for, just saving face. That's it. That's actually not required though. Like for me, I want to be cremated. I just want done, just get it over with. So it's just, I don't need the extravagant funerals, because I know my guides will take me and I know that I'll be okay. And even if you're not a shaman and that's not going to happen for you and you're not even sure, again, you still don't need the funerals. Especially if you guys think about like during wartime, a lot of people didn't get proper funerals during that time, especially during times of poverty. Like Hmong people, especially, we weren't always as wealthy or as good as we are now. My boyfriend just came in. Oscar's here. My boyfriend just brought the cat down, and he looks for me all the time, and he just wants shrimp. Anyways, So, like during we among people, we weren't always wealthy like this, so we always couldn't afford these extravagant types of funerals, and they're perfectly okay. Now, what some of you guys might hear about though is, like konza, which is basically an event typically done like a ceremony, and it requires like a cow and all sorts of stuff. It's a very intense type of ceremony. I would say that's probably one of the most intense ceremonies, and that is basically fixing of the graves. So that could happen also due to the war that they weren't properly buried. Ancestors are coming to haunt people. And then so you have to do this thing called fixing of the graves to basically fix it for them and help them and so that they're happy and stuff like that. And that doesn't always apply though because of the wars and stuff like that. That could apply because there was a curse on the family or the spirit was very angry and it never let it go. Stuff like that. Um, so laughing with ya, Lemao. She says, "Hi Tassie, is this paranormal? When you're alone in your bedroom and all of a sudden you smell this stinking, rotting smell, which you makes you want to throw up, that is paranormal." So, in my last video, I mentioned about people who can smell, and a lot of people actually have this ability. They just don't aren't aware of it. So smells is a huge thing when it comes to the paranormal world. And like if you've ever and the thing is, you could be in your house, you could be driving in your car, and then a scent passes you and it reminds you of something. Typically, whatever it reminds you of is going to be like if you smell like for me, for example, and I hope this never happens for my mom. So my mom growing up, she always had Wrigley's gum. And if any of you guys remember the smell of Wrigley's gum, I swear to God, like when she's 120 years old, if she ever passes, I'm gonna smell Wrigley's gum all the time, and I know I'm gonna smell Wrigley's gum all the time. And that is going to be my mom coming to visit me. Now, the rotting smell, though, when it's a really bad smell, it's actually a demon, so it's pretty demonic. That's what you're smelling. Sorry. Angels, I can see them, especially if I'm looking for them or if they pop up. A lot of them, they do like to come out and see me. What color is your favorite dragon? So I'm trying to be really impartial. Um, but my favorite it is white, only because I'm white. La Crosse, Wisconsin. I was born and raised in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Um, Lightning strikes and causing fires, typically that's going to be a bad omen. Something bad's happening or something bad is trying to get to you. Typically, what happens when a lot of people have those type of dreams, they actually do some kind of form of kakong to try and stop it. What happens to your shaman guides when you die? They actually follow you. It doesn't like they don't like go away. And I know a lot of people ask about guides passing on to children and stuff like that. Typically that happens if you're reincarnated as that person. And again, reincarnation, you can be a boy or a girl. If you attempt suicide but actually die due to being taken off life support, that is still considered suicide. Aaron. So when I was younger, I used to always make these comic strips of everybody else around me going through terrible things, and I would always be the winner at the end. Hmm. Superstitions with mirrors. So, I heard a superstition about not having mirrors next to your bed or a ghost will watch you sleep. That's true. So I know, like, for Mexicans, they believe in the mirror theory. And I only say this because I had a lot of friends who are Mexicans and they told me. Basically, what they believe in is whenever you move, you cover your mirrors. And so that way, ghosts or whatever's in your old house doesn't follow you to your new house. So a lot of people do believe in mirrors. Personally, I don't. Okay, okay. When I was younger, there was a mirror in the house, the haunted house where Michael found me. There was a mirror above the fireplace, and that mirror scared the crap out of me because I always had a feeling that a ghost was watching me through the mirror, and if I looked at the mirror, I would see the ghost. So, I was deathly afraid of that mirror, but ever since then, I've never come across a mirror that I was afraid of. So, um is dreaming a type of way of going into the spirit world? Why does it feel so real? So I think I've touched base on this a little bit about people who have the ability to like astral project. Even like premonitions, especially if people have dreams of other people coming to them in that they know of in real life, and they're telling them their woes, like things that are happening in their life and stuff like that. So that is real. Like it is if your mind brings you there, but the problem with dreaming though, a lot of people, and I've mentioned this too, like as far as like meditation and all that stuff, some people try to do dreams to enter the spirit world. I personally don't recommend it because you're going to sleep your life away and you can't control it as much as when you are awake and you can meditate and reach the spirit world that way, because then you have so much more control. You can come in and out, and you don't risk getting injured by a dark entity that can walk into that dream as you're astral projecting or as you're doing something like that. Yeah, I've been really bad about uploading videos, so I was like, I just gotta go live. The future, Rose C, the future is not set in stone. You can always change it. However, there are certain things that are meant to happen in your life, then that will never be able to be changed. You can try to prolong it, especially if somebody tells you this is happening. You can try to do everything you can to prolong it, but it will still come to pass. Um, Everybody always asks me about seeing shamans in the spirit world. Chilling in the spirit world. So I have never come across another shaman chilling in the spirit world. I can visit other shamans, especially like their spirits and stuff, but then that's kind of something different. If you get shot by a gun in your dream, typically that's something bad is coming to you. You can typically block it though. It's kind of like a warning for you. Oscar, you want to see Oscar or my boyfriend? His friends are actually over. Um, the rice thing with the hole is got kind of like the shaker kind of a thing where they're making sure everybody falls in there. Normally that's a form of like kakong. It's kind of like like how it's a tool. Basically, it's a tool. Um, Excuse me, it's a tool. I've been drinking, you guys. I'm sorry. So it's basically a tool. Typically, if that's happening, and only some types of shamans actually do that. You don't want a hot spirit. Okay. Yeah, with the whole cremation thing, I understand it's all about like tradition versus, just not being traditional. And I'm really not traditional. Thank you guys. Vital, I love you. Stillbirth, you need to have a ceremony done for that. For those of you guys who don't know this, especially if you're not like traditional, Uh, whenever somebody is pregnant, you always need to have a ceremony because you need to split the spirits. Because when the woman is carrying the baby, the spirits inside of her, you need to split it. If you guys don't, the woman ends up having a lot, they have a higher chance of getting postpartum, and they get haunted a lot and they get really sick. Um, Dragons having babies with a human woman? Like Jesus? Are you talking about like butterfly fluttering? Are you talking about like Jesus? Like how Jesus was born? Like basically by spirit? And Jonah, have I ever been evaluated for a mental disease? I have, because for a long time I thought I had a tumor. Can you see guides of others even if you have never met them, like just chatting online? Yes, especially if so typically when there's like I've mentioned this, if people talk to me about certain people in their lives, I see things about them. And especially if they have guides, and you guys might be very surprised, but guides are very talkative. They're very excited. Only some shamans have I ever come across guides where they were like more serious and reserved, but most of the times guides are very, very excited. They're very happy and they're very jumpy and they like to talk your ear off. Yeah, even the vinegary smell, it can be something. Um, so your dad is on his shaman journey and had put up a shrine. He hasn't been active. Yeah. So your guides can make you sick if you aren't actively practicing. My guides made me injure all the time. Like they would literally make my legs hurt. Like right where it's like your FEMA or something. Like it's like they pull a muscle and then you can't walk unless you agree to what they're trying to say to you. No, I am not Chinese. I am Hmong. Bill, I've mentioned before in a meditation video, I think it's a meditation video, it's one of my earlier videos, that people to meditate, it's basically the line, and this is the easiest way to explain it to you guys. It's the line right before you fall asleep. You have to learn how to stay in there. And for shamans, whenever they're going into the spirit world, they are basically just meditating. It's a really loud form of meditation. Oh yeah, the whole breast milk thing. Okay. So lightning will strike you. Okay, so a lot of you guys really flipped out when I told you guys about the breast milk method, okay? So for me, and for especially for like my shaman lineages, I know a lot of other shaman lineages that also use breast milk. Breast milk to us, we're not afraid of it though, because only ghosts are afraid of it because lightning can strike them, not the individual who's drinking it. And I know I've heard stories about like if people would have like a nya or something like that, a daughter-in-law, and then the mother-in-law is always telling them like be careful when you're washing dishes so breast milk and stuff like that doesn't get on it, okay? But we use breast milk. I know tons of clans who all use breast milk and nobody's been struck by lightning. Dimensions of religion and how they connect with one another, they actually don't. Like, I've been asked, is there like a main god above all the other gods? And they don't. They don't connect. They are different realms, completely different realms. You can cross them, kind of like when the angel of death came to me. You can cross into other realms. What favor did they? Oh, and everybody wanted to know about what did the angel of death ask me, and I can't actually tell you guys what he asked me. It's basically a deal if I was okay with bartering a deal for something else in the future. Um, did I think the ghost was stuck in the mirror? No, I think he had an ability. He had some kind of ability. And in that house, there was a in the house that I grew up in where Michael attached himself to me, there were a lot of entities there. And I actually heard somebody had told me that they know who lives there now. But then the last time I drove by it, this was like 2, 3 years ago, there was a white family that was living in there. So I don't know. Maybe the white family moved out, but my spiritual awakening was very depressing. Well, because I thought I had a tumor. I didn't believe in it. However, when I finally took off and I started to just accept it that I was the shaman after all, and I started practicing all the time, my guides made me practice every single day, you guys, for 6 months straight. Every single day I had to go into the spirit world. And it was very fast. It was like I learned to stop fighting the current basically because the more I was in denial, the more I stressed about things. It was just made it worse. So then finally I just gave up and I just did it because I know that they wanted me to, and I figured everything would fall in line in time, and it did.
It totally did. I just had to have faith. Yeah, flying, when I dream of flying, it is pretty cool. Did you guys know if you guys dream of flying, and it could be a car, a broom, or just jumping around, and you can't control it, it's because mentally you're not strong enough. So you're supposed to be working on yourself spiritually to become stronger mentally. So then that way you can control yourself better when you're flying. So if you guys ever have those kind of dreams where suddenly you're running really slow and you guys can't escape from something, it's because mentally you're not strong enough on what's trying to chase you. Well, if you don't want to open your third eye, um, you probably shouldn't meditate. I mean, granted, a lot of people don't even will even have that strong of a third eye. So even if you do meditate, that may not come to pass. Hmm. And a lot of monk people, so oh me, oh my, wrote about relatives telling them that their house is in a bad location. A lot of monk people believe in the superstition about facing certain directions, and if there's a hill in the house, it means you'll lose a lot of money and stuff like that. So there is a lot of superstitions on that. I don't know. I'm not that superstitious. How can you request your guys to show themselves to you? So I have a funny story. There was somebody I know who is supposed to be a shaman, but they're actually not a shaman yet. And this person, I kept talking to them about their guides because I'm like, your guides are really loud. Like, I can hear them fine. But they were stressed because they couldn't hear their guides. And they were like, like they tried talking in their head, like loudly to like talk to their guides. But it was kind of funny because when this individual was doing it, they felt like their voice in their head was like a whisper, like they couldn't scream in their head. So you guys should try screaming in your head and see if you guys can do it. But what is it? This person kept doing this, right? They kept trying to get their voice to be louder in their head and trying to talk to their guides. And this person was doing it for so long. Finally, they had a dream, and they were like sitting in a sauna, and there was like all these people around them, and they were yelling at him to stop yelling. They can hear him just fine. So it's actually not that hard to communicate with your guides. The hard part is you hearing a response back, especially if you don't know like how they are responding to you. It's going to take time, but I would recommend doing something kind of crazy. Doing something kind of weird, like not a normal request. And then when it happens, that is them responding. So that way you can learn this is how they're communicating to me. And it'll be something really weird, like let's say you really want to eat monk sausages. Okay, like that's how weird it is, okay? Like just something really small but really weird. And just purposely don't eat monk sausages, but just kind of sit there and like, don't go out there and buy it, basically. Don't go out there and buy it. And see if they answer you. Like, will monk sausages just appear? Because sometimes they may send somebody else to you to give you your monk sausages. And no, that probably sounds really zany, but that's like an example of something that you guys can do. And even if you're like, you know, um, I really wish I could get cheaper gas. Like, see if suddenly you find a gas station with cheaper gas. And that might seem like you're asking for things, but it's also a way of you trying to see if you can communicate with them and how are they communicating with you. Like count how many days until it comes to pass and stuff like that. So that's something for you guys to think about. Um so if you had seen ghosts when you were younger and then they had to reverse that and now you're trying to reverse that, it's possible if you already had that natural ability. Be careful what you wish for though. Um I don't know why. My guides keep saying that it's not important though. Oh, they said that you already see them. So okay. I don't know. They say that it's not important because you already see them. So, hi Pam. My Mandarin is sexy. Do you guys know a lot of times when my guides speak in Mandarin, they're actually yelling. And a lot of times they're like reading from a scroll and they're like dictating it outwards. So I don't think that's sexy. Just imagine me if I'm speaking in Mandarin being like in those Chinese movies where I'm like bald or something and I'm a man with a long little rat tail hair in the background, then it probably won't be that sexy. Oh my god, there's so many questions, you guys. Hi, you guys. Yeah, there are tons of different types of shamans. Oh, the symbols on the rings. So typically on the rings for like shamans and stuff, the jinnings that we wear, they are all made by man. So it's just basically the casing. Some of them will purposely put dragons on there. Some of them will put on different designs. It's really just whoever created them. The only thing that is really important is going to be like the horns, like the female and the male version. You need to be wearing female and male versions. That's why. Um, teeth and stuff like that, you're going to get sick. Pets can sometimes be protectors from evil spirits, but it depends if the evil spirit was with you before the pet came or after the pet came. Because I mentioned this in another video I had. I used to have a German Shepherd, but he came with me after Michael was already there. So Michael, the demon, so my dog saw him as part of the family. So, that didn't really help. So the blood thing. We need transfusions in the world. We need people to donate blood. However, okay, I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to get tattoos. I'm not allowed to donate blood. That is a no-no for me. Oscar's crying. I can hear him. Okay, I know Oscar wants his fish, and it's getting late. There's a lot of us, but what can you discuss? What is dakong? Can you guys hear Oscar? He's literally okay. If I don't give Oscar his fish, he starts to wail. He goes into another room and he just wails and wails like he's like dying. Nobody loves him. All right, I'm gonna answer just one more question and then I gotta go. I'll have to go live again for you guys. Um, a woman gives birth to a blob. I have not heard of that. I mean, I think isn't that like they miscarried? I didn't learn Chinese. The Chinese is strictly from my guides. Oh, so raising a shrine on your own. Okay, this will be my last question, then I have to go. Shamans, so the first shrine, typically you can like put everything up by yourself. However, your teacher is supposed to do something in the spirit world to bring your guides to you. So okay, the thing is it's some shamans do raise it on their own just fine. But typically, because I'm trying not to like offend anybody, because that might just be their lineage. And some shamans just have that knowledge and ability, and they can just go and get their own guides and start on their first shrine just fine. Because I mentioned in my student teacher one that you only need a teacher if you don't know how to do it yourself. But if you know how to do everything yourself, you don't need a teacher. So, you could raise your own shrine. I didn't raise my own shrine. I put it up, like but like my teacher came over and showed me how to set it up and actually, went to the spirit world and did all this stuff and I had a huge ceremony for it. So, that's my lineage. I'm not sure about every other lineage though. All right, you guys. So, my first time going live with you guys. Sorry for the shaky bad camera. I have to go and feed a cat his fish now.